Not only are mining magnate Andrew Twiggy Forrest and tech whiz Mike Cannon-Brookes Australia's two richest men, the multi-billionaires also claim to be alchemists. They boast they can turn green into gold, that the technology is now available to produce all the energy the world needs from renewable sources like wind, solar, and even hydrogen. What's more, it's not cost prohibitive. It makes economic sense. And with the greatest supply of these resources on the planet, Forrest and Cannon-Brookes reckon, instead of Australia being a climate villain, very soon we'll be a green energy superpower. Prices will fall and the planet will be saved from burning to a crisp. Billionaires, iron ore magnate Andrew Twiggy Forrest and tech wizard Mike Cannon-Brookes are in the business of making money and sometimes making a difference. Right now, their focus is on making both. It's certainly beautiful. I can see why you want to save the planet. It goes against everything we've heard, but they believe fortunes will be made by wiping out fossil fuels, heralding the dawn of a new golden age in Australia. To describe you as a green mining magnate, is that an oxymoron?
There's nothing wrong with mining. It's essential. Everything around us is made from steel and other metals. What we have to do is turn mining green.
People don't believe that we can have cleaner energy that can also be cheaper for customers and that people could make money doing this. That is literally what we are proposing to do. You think we're going to fail? Let us have a go. We won't fail. We can do this.
With renewables becoming ever cheaper, it's now profits, not philanthropy, driving realistic and reasonable solutions to climate change. And it's big business, not government, prepared to pay for it.
This is coal. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule on crops.
It's coal.
But with our government seemingly stuck on coal, Tony Wood from Melbourne's Grattan Institute says the fear is we will lose our chance to lead the world into a renewables revolution.
This is the biggest transition that our economy will see outside wartime, and we're not doing it very well at the moment.
There's no word for coalophobia officially, Mr. Speaker, but that's the malady that afflicts those opposite.
How would you rate the Australian federal government on this issue?
On a show just before an election? What a thankless question.
Well, you're in the big game now.
Yeah, we're in the big game now. Look, my views are public and on the record. Both Liberal and Labor really need to pull their socks up because there is a huge future for every Australian if we grasp that green energy future. And what's standing between ourselves and that future is not sun, it's not wind, it's not technology, it's government policy and business courage. And I'm saying to both Liberal and Labor, do your bit. And business, we will, be assured, come straight away.
Together and apart, these titans of business are spending billions of their own money to develop their own technologies, to replace fossil fuels like coal and oil. Instead, they see Australia as the potential top consumer and exporter of cheap renewables, harnessing wind and solar on a scale never done before, as well as developing a zero-emission fuel.
We ran a massive scientific analysis over the world to see if there was actually enough energy, and we have concluded, yes, there's enough green energy in the world to never have to burn another drop or another pound of coal or oil.
Where is that green energy?
Well, just a small percentage of Australia can completely power the world, Tara.
Twiggy has vowed to turn his iron ore business, which emits 2.2 million tonnes of carbon dioxide a year, 100% green. To make this extraordinary transformation, Twiggy has spent the last decade fine-tuning green hydrogen, a fuel with zero emissions, not just to power his mining operations, but one day soon, all of Australia.
I wake up to newspaper articles explaining to me in lurid detail what an idiot I am.
Twiggy is certain hydrogen will win over supporters, not because it's green, but because it's cheap and has huge earning capacity in exports. You are a force of nature, but is that enough?
It's certainly not enough. No, I'm but one person. Someone has to be the mug with the arrows in the back going first. No longer is there an excuse that, yeah, we'd really love to use green hydrogen, but we have to use fossil fuel or we have to...
But he's happy to lead the way because he believes this green gas will save the planet.
And green hydrogen can cover 100% of the world's carbon emissions.
Is there irony to the fact that it's your metals mining that's funding your green arm?
Look, I really don't think so. The fact you've got a metals and mining business which has a carbon footprint that through its very example it can eliminate, and it can fund the most aggressive adventure into technology and new projects to create hydrogen the world has ever seen, and be first at both of those, I don't think it's an irony. I think it's an obligation.
Is it an obligation you can meet? Are you certain that the dream that you believe in is achievable?
Yes. It's no longer a dream or a vision, Tara. It's a strategy. The right decision is to invest in green energy and green hydrogen because...
Twiggy's strategy will see 15 million tonnes of green hydrogen produced a year by 2030. He's already trialling the technology in his heavy haulage trucks and his export ships where his industrial emissions are highest.
We've got our first truck rolling with zero pollution, our first train rolling with zero pollution, and our first ship engine rolling with zero pollution.
Are they yet able to work at the capacity that you need them to?
Tara, we are breaking the ground. We are proving it out. This is proof of concept, world first in everything I'm saying. And of course, what you're seeing, Tara, is the creation of history.
And when it comes to powering our homes, that history, says Twiggy, will be affordable. Can you say to the people who are watching you tonight that your power bills are not going to be crazy high, that you will get supply on a constant and regular basis?
Yes. Imagine for a moment that we were completely energy sufficient. In fact, we were exporting heaps of energy and we were totally green and making all we needed ourselves. That world is around the corner. We have to grasp it.
We can be the largest exporter of energy, the renewable energy superpower. It is the single largest economic opportunity for Australia, the single largest economic transition the world will go through, decarbonising all of our machines. We have to show people that this is a way to put their capital to work.
In a partnership that includes Twiggy Forrest, Mike Cannon-Brookes, the co-founder of software giant Atlassian, valued at $85 billion, is hard at work selling our unrivalled sunshine to Singapore. The ambitious Sun Cable project will connect the Northern Territory to Asia by a mammoth undersea high-voltage DC cable.
So we're literally sort of sending electrons down a cable from one end to the other. Think of it as a giant extension cable you buy from Bunnings.
It's an extension cable that will travel more than 3,000 kilometres, linking the world's largest solar farm in the Northern Territory to Darwin, and then under the sea to Singapore, powering up in just 8 years' time.
And deliver about 20% of Singapore's energy entirely renewably and reliably from Australian sunshine to right into the heart of Singapore.
But in other projects, closer to home, Mike's grand vision for a green future has stumbled. His attempts to buy up dirty old technology to transform into new clean energy, thwarted by those at the very top.
The government's almost saying go away. It was just bizarre.
In that bid, there was $20 billion worth of foreign investment offered to this country. There was a promise of supply to be maintained, a promise to create more jobs. Why didn't the government back that? Encouragingly, right now on average, 30% of our electricity comes from sun, wind and hydro. But billionaire businessman Mike Cannon-Brookes says that can be increased to 100% and well beyond.
We have the sunniest, windiest country on earth with what should be the cheapest price of power anywhere on the planet. And we can absolutely get there with technology we have today.
Australia, like much of the world, has promised to reach net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. That means bye-bye to our ageing coal-fired power stations. More than a third have already shut down.
Years old, it's done its duty.
AGL plant manager Len McLaughlin is taking me on a tour of Liddell, one of the longest standing coal-fired power stations in the New South Wales Hunter Valley.
Over here you can see that's the substation.
Built in the early 70s, Liddell is considered a legacy coal-fired power plant. Modern for its time, but now fast approaching the end of its life, outdated by more efficient and cleaner plants. While its closure in just a year's time marks the end of an era, it also signifies a new beginning, one that doesn't involve coal.
It's amazing to see such a legacy end, but there's also a bit of excitement because the transition actually offers an opportunity for us to actually, bring about something new as well.
Seeing a huge environmental and economic opportunity, in February, Mike Cannon-Brookes made a takeover bid of AGL, our biggest emitter of greenhouse gases, promising to close its 3 existing coal-fired power plants 15 years sooner than scheduled. Backed by $20 billion of foreign investment, Mike planned to transition this site into a green energy hub, continuing supply and promising to keep and create jobs.
AGL has more emissions than the countries of Sweden, New Zealand or Ireland. It is more than every single car on the road in Australia, more than every single airplane in our skies, international or domestic. And we can change it by 2030 in a meaningful way. If we can do that and show it's economic, show that there is money to be made in doing that, then around the globe we'll have 50 copycat projects, and that will be fantastic.
AGL thought otherwise, rejecting the bid without even taking the offer to its shareholders. So, dead? The deal is done? It's not going to happen?
Put our pens down. We put our offer to the board. The board didn't meaningfully engage and said no.
Head of the Grattan Institute's energy program, Tony Wood, says the bid failed in part because of a lack of government support.
There's a long way to go on this. Ultimately, they will not just need to try to get the board on side, but shareholders, it'll need to get ACCC approvals.
This clear lack of endorsement from Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor.
We shouldn't be jumping the gun.
Is the failure of the deal a good thing or a bad thing for Australia?
It was surprising that a Liberal coalition government would have had someone come to Australia prepared to spend over the next little while $20 billion, and the government's almost saying go away. It was just bizarre in my view that was the way this seems to have played out.
Why make that decision?
I think it's fundamentally about we have a view that we achieved electoral success by pushing back on climate change, and we're going to keep doing that.
Why would the government's response be that we reject the notion of closing down coal-fired power stations sooner than scheduled? Why would that be the narrative around a bid like that?
Well, we've said consistently we're in favour of stability in the electricity supply so that industry has the electricity it needs at an affordable price so Australians can have jobs.
Assistant Energy Minister Tim Wilson agreed to be interviewed after his boss, Minister Angus Taylor, declined. His offsiders claiming he wasn't well enough briefed to talk on the subject. With the utmost respect to you, why did the Minister, Angus Taylor, not front up today?
Well, I can't answer to that. All I can say is I'm happy to be here and I'm really excited to play a critical part of building Australia's clean industrial future. We want to get there through the utilisation of technology.
And yet the people you would employ to introduce that technology, big business, the people who want to pay for it, describe the government as obstructionist. So how does that work?
Well, they're focused very clearly on their profit maximisation.
You don't accept that their focus is also on saving the environment?
I accept that they're absolutely trying to be part of confronting an environmental challenge while making a buck. There'll always be billionaires that want to make more profits funded from your taxes.
Excuse the pun, if you want to call it that, but isn't it a bit rich when you really are asking them to pay for the new energy landscape in this country?
But what we're hoping is that those people who want to invest in building the future of this country do so with enthusiasm, but we've obviously got to make sure we take the whole of the country with us, and we're proud to do that.
The economics are on our side.
Clearly frustrated by the lack of support, iron ore magnate Andrew Twiggy Forrest, who also happens to have a PhD in marine ecology, doesn't hold back when it comes to the Energy Minister, Angus Taylor.
What's the difference between Angus Taylor and God? Well, God doesn't think he's Angus Taylor. And Angus Taylor was standing in the road, and I hope he's changing now, of the market, of climate science, and of course, the fact we must stop this world from cooking, because it is.
Does Angus Taylor feel as fondly about you as you seem to of him?
Angus and I have a really direct relationship.
But with support from the Queensland Government, Twiggy, with his wife Nicola, have broken ground on the world's largest electrolyser facility to be completed next year here in Gladstone. They've invested $3 billion of their own money to develop the electrolysers, which, powered by solar and wind, produces hydrogen and no emissions.
Our proposal is to tap the greatest resource in the universe, which is hydrogen, from the greatest resource in the world, which is water, split that water with natural, totally renewable electricity, and create hydrogen, which when burnt releases enormous amounts of energy and goes back to water.
Until now, saving the planet hasn't encouraged big industry, but saving and making money, according to Twiggy, will.
Industry must do this.
Profit has to be the motive.
Unfortunately, if you're going to end something as big as global warming, it has to be sustainable. We've looked at this hell, west and crooked Tara from a philanthropic perspective over 10 years. Couldn't touch the sides of it. We needed to demonstrate it can be done with huge and heavy industry. And so we've set out to do it.
I can do technology work, environmental work, anything I need to do, I can do it from here.
Home in the Southern Highlands is stunning, but as someone who's made a fortune out of writing algorithms, there's nothing more beautiful to Mike Cannon-Brookes than the economics of saving the planet. Have you modelled how much money you'll make out of this?
I have not. I'm sure it's in a spreadsheet somewhere.
It would be nice not to have to care about that.
It is. No, it is. It is. It doesn't mean I can't count. It doesn't mean I don't try to do it for the right reason. I'm lucky enough to not need to make the money. But I do see the importance of showing that this is an investable proposition, that this is a profitable enterprise, and it can reduce people's price of power, it can reduce our emissions, clean our world up, all sorts of ways, and make money.
Is there any regret, any shame that drives you today in regards to looking to replace the fossil fuel sector with green energy?
No, I have precisely no shame. Now, if I did nothing about it, when I knew I could, then I would have shame. And what I'm saying to my fellow executives, it's fair enough. You went and produced your oil, your gas, your coal, your iron, etc. when you had no choice, when you had a gun at your head to keep doing it. But you don't have a gun now. There is a choice. We can change, so therefore we must change.
Hello, I'm Tara Brown. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minutes, segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.